Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today is a very special day because the Time Traveler Space Masked Hero, the OG best unit in the game, whose reign was only pretty recently upended, has received a new force, for one, because she's only ever had Heart of a Hero since her release, and now she finally got Protector of Peace, but she also got a skill fusion. Unfortunately, not on her rewind. I don't know what they could do to that unless you give us two of them or something, but they buffed her crit skill. So currently, everybody gets guaranteed crits, and then everybody on the enemy side gets a 30% crit resistance debuff for one turn. When you fuse this skill, it becomes double the effect with a condition. So it goes from 100 and then 30 to 130, and then if you use 100 skill points in that turn that you use this skill, you will get another 10% crit damage buff. Now, I'm not sure if this max of 60 is that if I use 600 points, I get 60, which is actually going to be 90 with the crit right here, or if it's going to be a max of 30, and then it brings the 30 and 30 to a total of 60. I kind of think that's how it's going to work, but obviously the showcase is more testing and showcasing than anything else, so we will definitely find out. So first I need to be on a team that can use 300 skill points in one turn, which is limited to only stacking teams. So if you don't have a good stacking team and you don't really use the Masked Hero on whatever stacking team you do have, you're not really going to see a lot of value out of this skill fusion. Most of the time, for whales at least nowadays, the only time we use the Masked Hero is for normal battle jubilees, which are, 5 turns maximum, and we're certainly probably not using 300 skill points. Most fights are 3 turns, so we don't really have a lot of opportunity to use 300 extra skill points for those. So the Masked Hero has fallen off, and she came out for the original half anniversary. That was almost 2.5 years ago. So she's been very good for a very long time. And this doesn't make her bad by any means. It just makes her better in very specific scenarios. Otherwise, she's pretty much stayed the same, which is still a very, very, very strong character. Just not tippity-top anymore. But let's get down to some science. Let's figure out exactly how this additive buff is going to work, and let's see the damage output. Okay, it was suggested during one of the last skill fusion videos that I show what they do before the skill fusion, and then how it increases afterwards. So we're going to run this team in the EX2 beatdown battle, and we're going to use the hero not skill fused yet, and then we'll see just a baseline damage number from Rimuru, and then we'll skill fuse her and come back on the same nuke turn with the same buffs, and then we'll see how much we have increased from that. Before we jump into the damage showcase, this is still the first run. We're only on turn 2, so we haven't even really done much, but we do have access to the rewind ability, which gives us an additional turn within turn 2, so it'll be like turn 2.5. And what we can actually do this for is the Inspire mechanic. So currently, we don't have any attack buffs, but if you send 6 orbs in a turn, Masayuki's going to get you an 8% increase. Well, if you do it 2 times and you send 16 orbs in a single turn because the rewind gives you another free turn, and we're going to have a bunch of points coming back here, it's going to allow us to get 16% because we're sending now 12 orbs. So 4, 8, 12, 16. And that, is cool. I mean, I'm sure it will have much more meaning when we get the other units that are going to come out for this meta. But now we have all these points. The rewind kicks in. It's still turn 2. We've sent 6 orbs already. Let's go ahead and use Masayuki to reset. And then we'll change all these orbs again. So 1, 2. So boom. And then we'll use the single orb change again. And then we'll use another of the weakness strike buffs from Geld. And now we've sent 12 orbs. So now, instead of being at 20% attack, this coming turn, we're going to be up 12%. Well, 16%. So we'll be at 36% attack once the Inspire effect actually kicks in. And while that's nowhere near close to the 40% that we're capable of doing with Masayuki's cap, it is certainly something to keep in mind. So there we go, 36% attack now. So that is kind of helpful for this team specifically. Otherwise, Rewind is just a good skill all around to just give you a free turn to eliminate some RNG or really get some extra stacks on a traditional stacking protector. Okay, here we are on turn 8 for the initial damage test run. We've treated this like it was a big sweaty tryhard run. So Rimuru is up to 76% attack because we got the extra little buff from the Rewind turn. We have Barrier Stones up, 20% defense, 10% attack, 20% weakness strike, which, yeah, sure, okay. But we have 130% weakness strike just from stacking his own single orb change. Physical attack trait, 100% weakness strike from Overlord Shizu, physical attack from Rimuru, guaranteed crits from both himself and the masked hero. And then Adelman over here has 90% weakness strike down. It should have been 100, but I actually put a stack on Murin, so we're gonna act like we're gonna do 90%. Crit resistance from the trait from Protector Millum, defense down from Rimuru's own trait, 50% ult damage down, 20% physical resistance, and then the 30% crit resistance down currently from the masked hero. And we do, let's see how much a normal orb does for funsies, and then we'll send it. 166, 4.4 against Adelman, 3.8 against the others. Okay, I mean, that's fairly good damage. Now let's skill fuse the hero, and we'll add another at least 30% crit resistance down, and we'll see how much that affects our output. Alright, we are back on turn 8. Adelman once again has 90% weakness strike down, and Rimuru once again has all the barrier stones, plus 130% weakness strike up. So we have the same buffs. The only difference is now we're going to have what I assume is an extra 30%, well, it is going to be an extra 30% crit resistance down. So let's go ahead and apply the Shizu buff. We need to use 300 points before we use the hero skill. So that's the thing, is that you need to have enough points to use 300 and then 55. So we do have enough because we have 400 points. So let's use 80 there, and then we'll take Shizu out for Rimuru. Alright, and here's another 80. Boom. And then we'll bring in the masked hero. So we're at 816, now we're at 24, and now we need to use 60 more points, and then the hero skill. So 60 points, we can do, this and then that, and then, we still have enough. So here we go. Oh, that's one more stack on him, though. So we're going to do a bit extra damage. 10% more weakness strike down. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. My apologies. I forgot to target someone else. But now, we're up to 60% crit resistance. 30% more than the last run. So let's go ahead and apply that. And then I guess we can use Masayuki. I don't really think it matters all that. And I think we do have a Rimuru orb. We don't have a Rimuru orb, so we're just going to nuke, and we'll see how much extra damage. Again, we do have an extra 10% weakness strike because I'm an idiot, but I don't think it's going to amount to that much damage. So let me pause real fast. Let me see what we did against Adelman the first time. Okay, 4.49 versus Adelman in the last run. So we're going to do more than that now. And it is how much more? 5.1. And again, accounting for that extra 10%, I'd put it at about 5.05, 5.5. 5.05, which is definitely higher. So we got about an extra million off of that. That, I mean, right? That math checks out. Oh, no, not a million. You're an idiot, Joker. You know that? So this is the extra weakness strike. So I drop it down to 5.1 flat, essentially, is what I would do, versus the almost 5 million. So we got an extra 600,000 damage off of that 30% extra debuff, which is not an insignificant amount for a 55-point skill. And we're going to have a lot of big-time buffers, and we're going to have the ability to use that full 300 skill points in one turn. So it's not like this is hard to do on this team in particular, or any other stacking team that also wants to be crit-focused. But there is an impact. There is a noticeable impact. Maybe not as much as people were hoping for, all things considered, considering how good the hero was for a while. But I don't think she needed to be that much better. She's still super viable. They just made her better than that, which is great for everybody. Great for everybody who I've been pushing for since the beginning of time to get the Masked Hero, because she's such a powerful support unit. Now she's even more powerful. There is no downside to this. It doesn't cost any extra skill points to use the actual skill itself. You still have the same baseline, it's just your ceiling is now higher. That doesn't harm anybody. Okay, just so we have it on video, that way I can say that I have officially tested it. We are in Predator Battle, and we are going to test the potential, maybe miswording, maybe confusing wording of the Masked Hero. I don't know if it's actually confusing to people. It is just 60%. But with the skill fusion, for every 100 skill points used during this turn, increases the effect amount by 10%, max of 60. So is this the max of 30 and 30, or is this 60 here and then another 30? Well, we have plenty of points to try it, so let's just start using a bunch of big-time skills and get to 600 points, and I will let you know. First, we gotta use Masayuki to be able to reset this, so we can use Rimuru's just big-time buff skill over and over and over and over again. So there is 100 points right there, or 105 points. Cool. And now we look at the hero skill, and it should be up to, alright, 40% right there. Excellent. So let's use another 100 points. Perfect. And now we're up to 50%. And then another 100 points. And one more time. So now we're at 60. So now we're at the magical 60 number right here. If I use another 100 points, will it go up any higher than that? If it does, it'd be kind of funny. It does not go any higher. Okay, so we are capped at 60% right there. No matter what, if we use another 100 points, it's going to remain at that magical 60%. So, there we go. For science, we used, well, let's use another 100 just to say we did. We used over 600 points in this turn, and we are still we only got an extra 30% crit resistance down debuff from the skill. So there we go. Science complete. Alright, the final part of today's hero showcase. We're putting on an old Water 2.0 team with Milim, free-to-play Rimuru, Shuna, and Hinata. We've swapped out Xion, who traditionally would be on this team, for Violet, because Xion would be giving, water attack, guaranteed crits, a little bit of magic attack, and crit resistance down if she's skill fused, which, I mean, is cool and all. But Violet gives us orb changing and a 100% magic buff for our magic Hinata. So, Hinata can seal the crit resistance that this enemy Shuna has. Let's just go ahead and start this up. Which makes it very, very nice. Nice as in we can actually benefit off the full crit power and not have to worry too much about it. Because if she did have crit resistance, it's like 60 or 70%, which we would negate, essentially, with a full-powered hero buff. But at the same time, it's like, I want to I want to get the big damage out of this. This is a very old team. It has one EX character. Yeah, sure, but the rest of them are very, very old. Okay, we're still resetting, apparently. Hold on. Okay, I think this is the run. Sorry. It takes a while to record these, okay? I get really crap runs and I get really good runs and they're interspersed, so give me a break. Anyways, what was I saying? I want to see what hero can do at maximum power, not just negating an enemy resistance, but actually lowering it to a point where it is beneficial to us. So here, this is why we brought Violet, because we can do this. And then we only have one Hinata orb, which is tragic, but at the same time, oh well. We do have to swap her out on turn 3, otherwise she will get an attack nerf, and we didn't bring an alt-swapping character, so we can't just leave her up front, because I want to send full hands of blues to make sure we have enough points to actually use 301 turn, then the 55 from hero. She works the same way that Ogre's Pride Soe did, is where Soe, if you spent if you spent like, what, 300 points in one turn, you got an extra 50% synergy power, but your actual synergy power skill from Zoe didn't count towards that. It had to be already at 300 before you used his skill. So the hero works the same way. You must already have used 300 points, and then you can use the 55 point skill. You can't be at like 295 and then use hero, and it'll magically be at the 60% full power. Which, you know, again, does limit her a bit to only stacking teams, like I mentioned earlier in the video. It is kind of a detriment, but at that point, it's like, you probably have better options than the hero now, since she's so old. And for burst teams, I mean, she's still going to work the same way as she always did, which, if you are already using her, you're not going to notice a difference. Because, you know, Exalted Champions, they can't use 300 skill points in one turn. They can certainly use 100. Yeah, 100 reliably, so you can get maybe an extra 10% out of it, which is cool. It does help. New Year's Blessing can also do that, but I mean, you're already getting crits from Xion, so you don't really need the hero there. What other burst teams? Like Protector Frey, she gives guaranteed crits. So, I mean, well, with that team, you can also do 100 points easily. So, I would say that you can fairly reliably be at 40% crit resistance down on any given team, but the only way you're going to see the 60% is if you're running a full stack, which we've had a lot of stacking teams lately. Primarily blue, not so much green. Protector's piece is green currently, which is nice, but at the same time, there just aren't a lot of those. But the Masked Hero released with a blue stacking team with Space Milim and Carrion and all that. Carrion was giving crit damage, so it worked very well with the hero. Okay, we're on turn 5. So Hinata is skill fused, which means that she's getting 15% extra ult damage per use of her seal skill. So we need to use it 4 times. And we're going to save the final use for the nuke turn, because that's going to contribute to our 300 point total skill usage. So we're going to bring her in here with, she has no orb, so it works out very well. We'll give her the stack of Milim, and then we'll use, I think, yeah, we're going to save it. So then we just have to burn a turn on turn 7, and then we'll be ready to nuke. I do have to do math, so I make a cut in turn 8, because I don't actually know what combination of skills I'm going to be able to use to actually get to the 300 point. So we use the 3rd stack with Hinata here, and then she's going to go away after we put this Milim stack on her, and then we're still going to have a full hand. We just have to send all these ults. So let's get Rimuru in first so we can steal that, and then we'll bring Shuna in. It doesn't really matter that we did that all that much. We're still going to use the Violet Orb change. We're still going to send all 3 of these ults. It's just that now I'm kind of worried that this is a kind of weird number to be at. 362? I'm not sure if we have the right combination of skill costs to do it right now. So I do have to open up a calculator and be like, alright, we got to use the 80 point magic buff, the 55 point ult damage buff. We got to use Hinata's 85 point stack and her 15 point attack buff and crit damage buff. So we made that cut there. So ult damage, 55 points. Bring Hinata in for Shuna. Alright, use the magic buff. Use the seal. Alright, that's, what, 106, 170 points right there. We'll bring Water Rimuru in, and now we can use the attack buff and one of his orb changes, and that leaves us just enough to use the hero, which is at 60% now, you can see. So we are at full power. We're going to turn Hinata's ult on, because I haven't seen this in a long time. But we are at the full 60%. We have, what does Hinata give herself? 30% crit damage? 40%? Somewhere around there? So we are getting quite a bit. And Hinata with Dead End Rainbow does just shy of 1 million. Like, I don't think you guys understand how old this team is. And while, yes, we do have a very good EX unit that's supporting, it's like 1 million damage for Water Hinata? We didn't do 1 million damage with units until... when did she... Until 6 months after she came out, almost. We were doing 400k with Hinata when her team originally came out with just Water Xion here instead of Violet. So that is a huge increase. Alright, so overall, I'm fine with the Masked Hero. Did she get better? Yes. Did she get any worse? No. Did her skill cost change to a worse number? No. It is essentially the same skill. You're guaranteed to at least use 100 skill points in any given turn at any point with any team, so you are going to benefit at least by an extra 10%, which does help. It's just that if you want that extra 20%, you're going to have to work a little bit harder. But overall, the hero is still a fantastic unit. She's still highly usable. No, she's not the triple S tier, god-killing unit the game when she once was, because it's been a hot minute since she's been released. But she's still right up there with the other top tier units because she's giving everybody crits, because she's lowering crit resistance, even more now. She's got the rewind ability, which she is still currently the only unit that does that. She is still a top tier option, and she's just gotten a little bit better. Maybe not as much as people wanted her to, because people were probably expecting the Masked Hero with the rewind skill to be absolutely friggin' broken when she got a skill fusion, but this game has proven that 99% of the skill fusions are actually really bad. So the fact that she actually got a good one and she's still viable and still usable, I think is much better than the alternative, which is they buffed it by a literal crap ton but made it an 80-point skill. I don't know if I would have enjoyed that. So, let me know what you guys think of this new Masked Hero skill. Are you happy with it? Are you upset with it? Let me know. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.